What if I told you that some of the most incredible machines ever built are now cheaper than a brand new economy sedan? Yeah, you heard that right. While everyone's out here overpaying for boring crossovers, there's a secret gold mine of depreciated dream cars just waiting to be snatched up. We're talking about cars that cost six figures when new, but now they're basically having a fire sale. Today, I'm breaking down 4 absolute beasts that crashed harder in price than my New Year's resolutions. And trust me, that's saying something. These aren't basket cases either. We're talking legitimate performance icons that you can actually afford. So buckle up, because by the end of this video, you might just be shopping for your next ride. But first, let me know in the comments, what's the biggest depreciation steal you've ever seen? Now let's dive in.
Alright, first up on our list is a car that most people have completely forgotten exists, and that's exactly why it's such an insane deal right now. We're talking about the 2014 Kia Cadenza, and before you click away thinking I've lost my mind, hear me out, because this thing is an absolute sleeper hit in the used car market. Picture this. Back in 2014, Kia decided they were done being the budget brand that your uncle bought because he needed something cheap after his divorce. No, they wanted to play with the big boys. They wanted to take on the Avalons, the Impalas, the Maximas of the world. So they built the Cadenza. And honestly, they over-delivered in ways that would make your jaw drop. When this car rolled off the lot, it was wearing a price tag of around $35,000 to $40,000. That's serious money for a full-size sedan. But here's where it gets juicy. You can find clean examples of these beauties today for under 10 grand. Some are even pushing into the $7,000 to $8,000 range if you're patient. That's an 80% depreciation hit. This thing lost value faster than crypto in a bear market. But unlike crypto, you can actually drive this home. Now, what do you actually get for your money? Let me paint you a picture. You're sliding into a cabin that's wrapped in leather, genuine leather, not that fake stuff that peels off after 2 summers. You've got heated and ventilated front seats because Kia knew that comfort isn't negotiable. There's a panoramic sunroof above your head that makes the interior feel twice as spacious. You've got a premium sound system that actually sounds premium, not like speakers from a tin can. And here's the kicker. All of this was standard or readily available on most trims. I know what you're thinking, but it's a Kia. Isn't the badge alone enough to make this a terrible investment? And look, I get it. 10 years ago, I would have laughed too. But here's the thing. Kia's transformation in the 2010s was like watching a caterpillar turn into a butterfly, except the butterfly also got a gym membership and learned martial arts. This isn't your cousin's 2003 Rio that needed a new transmission every other Tuesday. The Cadenza is built on Kia's rock-solid platform, and it shares a ton of DNA with the Hyundai Azera. Under that elegant hood, you've got a 3.3-liter V6 engine pushing out 293 horsepower. That's not just adequate, that's genuinely quick for a full-size sedan. 0 to 60 happens in just over 6 seconds, which means you can absolutely embarrass some unsuspecting sports car drivers at a stoplight if you're feeling spicy. But power means nothing if the thing falls apart, right? Well, here's where the Cadenza really shines. Kia's reliability during this era was genuinely impressive. We're talking about a company that was so confident in their engineering that they were throwing 10-year, 100,000-mile warranties at people. That's not the move of a manufacturer who expects their cars to explode. Consumer Reports and J.D. Power consistently rated these things above average for reliability, and owner forums are filled with people casually rolling past 150,000 miles without major drama. The transmission is a smooth 6-speed automatic that doesn't have the same nightmare reputation as some of its competitors from that era. The suspension strikes this beautiful balance between comfort and control. It's not going to carve canyons like a sports car, but it's also not going to float down the highway like a boat from the 70s. It's refined, it's comfortable, and it's exactly what you want for long road trips or daily commuting. So why did these crash so hard in price? Simple. Badge snobbery and lack of brand recognition. People would rather overpay for a used Lexus with twice the mileage than give a Kia a chance, even when the Kia offers 90% of the luxury at a fraction of the cost. Their loss is your gain. You're getting a full-size luxury sedan with all the bells and whistles, proven reliability, and enough power to make driving fun again, all for the price of a decent used economy car. If you're in the market for something spacious, comfortable, and ridiculously undervalued, the 2014 Cadenza deserves to be on your shortlist. Just don't tell too many people about it, because once the secret gets out, these prices won't stay this low forever. Trust me on that. But hold on, because if you thought that depreciation was wild, wait until you see what's coming next.
Okay, number 2 is going to be controversial, and I can already feel the comments section heating up. We're diving into the Volkswagen Passat, specifically the models from around 2012 to 2019. And yes, I know exactly what you're about to say. German cars are money pits! The maintenance will bankrupt me! You're insane! But stick with me here, because this might be the most misunderstood bargain on the entire used car market right now. Let's rewind for a second. Volkswagen had this brilliant idea to build a Passat specifically for the American market. They constructed an entire factory in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and decided to create a mid-size sedan that could go toe-to-toe with the Camrys and Accords that were absolutely dominating the segment. The result was a car that was bigger, more spacious, and way more upscale than anything in its price range. When these hit showrooms, they were starting around $22,000 to $28,000 depending on the trim, and they genuinely felt like $40,000 cars inside. Fast forward to today, and you can snag a well-maintained Passat from this generation for anywhere between $6,000 to $12,000. We're talking about cars with reasonable mileage, clean history, and all the features you'd want. That's depreciation that would make a financial advisor weep, but for us, it's opportunity knocking. Here's what nobody tells you about these American-built Passats. They're actually some of the most reliable Volkswagens ever made. I'm serious. Because VW knew they had to compete with Japanese reliability to win over American buyers, they simplified the engineering. They ditched a lot of the overly complex European stuff that made older VWs a nightmare to maintain. The result is a car that shares more common sense with a Honda than it does with a temperamental European exotic. Step inside one of these and you immediately understand why people fell in love. The interior quality is leagues ahead of the competition from that era. You've got soft touch materials everywhere your hands actually touch. The seats are supportive and comfortable for hours of driving. The dashboard layout is clean, logical, and doesn't look like it was designed by a committee that couldn't agree on anything. And the space? Good grief, the space. The back seat has enough legroom to comfortably fit adults who still have functioning knees. The trunk is absolutely cavernous. This is a road trip champion that makes everyone comfortable, not just the driver. Now, let's talk about the elephant wearing a lederhosen in the room. Yes, it's a Volkswagen, and yes, VW has a reputation for expensive repairs. But here's the plot twist. The Passat from this era is surprisingly affordable to maintain if you're even slightly strategic about it. The base engine is a bulletproof 2.5-liter 5-cylinder that's been around forever and has parts availability that would make a Chevy jealous. Oil changes are straightforward, brakes are reasonable, and the suspension components don't cost more than your monthly rent like some European cars. If you step up to the V6 or the turbocharged 4-cylinder, yes, things get a tiny bit more complex, but we're still nowhere near the horror stories you've heard about older Audis or BMWs. And honestly, finding an independent mechanic who knows these cars is easier than finding a Starbucks in a shopping mall. They're everywhere, and they charge a fraction of what the dealer wants. Performance-wise, these are shockingly good drivers. The chassis feels solid and planted, like it was engineered by people who actually enjoy driving. The steering has real weight and feedback. The ride quality manages to be both comfortable and controlled, which is a rare combination. You're not going to win any drag races unless you find the rare VR6 model with the 3.6-liter V6 that pumps out 280 horsepower. That version can genuinely move when you want it to. Fuel economy is respectable too. The base 5-cylinder gets you mid-20s combined, and the Turbo 4 can push into the 30s on the highway, if you keep your foot light. For a car this size and this comfortable, that's nothing to complain about. So why are these so cheap? Brand perception, plain and simple. People hear Volkswagen and immediately think their wallet is about to suffer. They overlook the fact that this specific generation was built to American standards, in America, with American reliability expectations in mind. It's a German car in philosophy and execution, but with the practicality and dependability that actually makes sense for daily life. If you want a mid-size sedan that feels premium, drives with confidence, and won't embarrass you when you pull up anywhere, the Passat is sitting there with a price tag that seems almost criminal. Just make sure you get a pre-purchase inspection, check the maintenance records, and you'll have yourself a seriously underrated daily driver that punches way above its weight class. But we're just getting warmed up here, because the next car on this list is about to blow your mind for completely different reasons.
All right, I see you raising your eyebrows. Did he just put a Camry on this list? The most boring car in automotive history? The official vehicle of people who think mayonnaise is spicy? Yes, I did. And before you accuse me of losing the plot completely, let me tell you why the 2012 Camry specifically is one of the smartest purchases you can make right now, and why this particular year is absolutely critical. 2012 was a watershed moment for the Camry. Toyota completely redesigned it from the ground up, and they did something they rarely do. They made it exciting. Well, as exciting as a Camry can be, which is actually more than you'd think. This wasn't just a refresh with new headlights and a software update. This was Toyota saying, we've been asleep at the wheel, and Ford and Hyundai are eating our lunch. Time to wake up. When these launched, prices ranged from about $22,000 for the base model up to $31,000 for the loaded V6 versions. Today, you're looking at anywhere from $7,000 to $13,000, depending on mileage and condition. Now, I know what you're thinking. Every Camry holds its value like gold. Why is this one different? Great question, and the answer is exactly why this is such a killer opportunity. The 2012 model sits in this weird sweet spot where it's old enough that people think it's outdated, but new enough that it has all the modern features you actually need. It's too new for the vintage crowd and too old for people who want the latest tech. But here's the secret. This generation is arguably the last truly bulletproof Camry before Toyota started complicating things with more technology that, let's be honest, just gives you more stuff to break. Let's talk about what you're actually getting. The base engine is a 2.5-liter four-cylinder making 178 horsepower. Is that going to set your hair on fire? Absolutely not, but it'll get you where you need to go while sipping fuel like a hummingbird at a feeder. We're talking 35 miles per gallon on the highway if you're gentle with the throttle. That's real money saved every single week. But if you want something with a little more soul, hunt down the V6 model. This is where the Camry shows its hidden personality. That 3.5-liter V6 cranks out 268 horsepower and sounds absolutely fantastic when you get on it. 0 to 60 in under 6.5 seconds. In a family sedan, that's legitimately quick, and it'll catch people completely off guard. I've seen Camry V6 owners surprise sports car drivers who weren't paying attention, and the look on their faces is absolutely priceless. The interior is where Toyota really stepped up their game in 2012. Gone was the rental car special vibe of the previous generation. This one actually feels like someone who cares about design touched it. The materials are better, the layout makes sense, and everything falls naturally to hand. The seats are comfortable enough for cross-country trips without making you feel like you're sitting on park benches. And the back seat? It's massive. You could fit a basketball team back there if they promise to behave. Now, let's address the real reason anyone buys a Camry. It simply refuses to die. I'm talking about biblical levels of reliability here. These things are so dependable that mechanics get bored working on them because they never see them. The transmission is a 6-speed automatic that's smoother than a jazz saxophonist and more reliable than Sunrise. The suspension components last forever. The brakes are straightforward and cheap to replace. Even the electronics, which are usually the first things to go haywire on other cars, just keep working year after year. Maintenance costs are almost comically low. Oil changes are cheap. Parts are everywhere because millions of these were sold. Any mechanic on planet Earth can work on it, and none of them will charge you an arm and a leg because there's nothing exotic or complicated under the hood. This is the car you buy when you want to spend your money on literally anything else besides car repairs. Yes, it's boring. Yes, your neighbors won't be jealous. Yes, it's the automotive equivalent of plain oatmeal. But you know what? Sometimes boring is exactly what you need. Boring means predictable. Boring means you're not calling a tow truck. Boring means your bank account isn't crying every time a warning light appears. And in 2012, Toyota managed to make boring just interesting enough that you won't fall asleep at the wheel. The 2012 Camry represents peak practical performance. It's the last year before things got more complex, and it's the first year of a generation that proved Toyota still knew how to build a world-class mid-size sedan. For under 10 grand in many cases, you're getting a car that will outlive your mortgage, cost almost nothing to maintain, and still have enough resale value when you're done with it to make you smile. If you need a reliable daily driver that won't let you down, won't drain your wallet, and will still be running when the sun explodes, the 2012 Camry is sitting there waiting. Just don't expect anyone to high-five you at car meets. Now, we've covered 3 incredible deals, but I saved the best for last. This final car is going to change how you think about depreciation forever.
And here it is, the grand finale, the Mercedes-Benz C180. Now, before half of you click away muttering about German luxury maintenance nightmares, let me stop you right there. What if I told you that you could own a genuine 3-pointed star with all the prestige and engineering excellence that comes with it for less than the cost of a used Honda Civic? Yeah, that's not clickbait. That's reality, and it's absolutely wild. The C-Class has always been Mercedes' entry point into luxury, but calling it entry-level is like calling a Rolex a starter watch. These cars were engineered with the same obsessive attention to detail as their bigger siblings, just with a slightly smaller footprint and a more accessible price point. When the C180 was new, depending on the model year and market, you were looking at anywhere from $35,000 to $45,000. That's serious luxury money. Today, you can find pristine examples, particularly from the 2008 to 2014 range, for $10,000 to $15,000. Some even dip below 10 grand if you're patient and know where to look. Let's get the scary part out of the way first, because I know you're thinking it. German luxury cars are financial suicide. The repairs will cost more than the car. I'll need a second mortgage just to change the oil. I hear you, and there's definitely some truth to older Mercedes models being expensive to maintain. But here's what most people don't understand about the C180 specifically. This is the sensible Mercedes. This is the one they built for people who want the badge and the quality without the insanity. The C180 typically comes with a smaller, turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that makes between 150 to 180 horsepower, depending on the generation. Is that going to make you a stoplight hero? Not even close. But that's not the point. The point is that this engine is significantly less complex than the bigger power plants Mercedes offers, which means fewer things that can go catastrophically wrong. It's also surprisingly fuel efficient, often achieving mid-30s on the highway, which is impressive for a car that still feels like it was carved from a single block of luxury. Slide into the driver's seat and you immediately understand why people pay premium money for German engineering. The door closes with that satisfying thunk that only happens when everything is precisely assembled. The steering wheel feels perfectly weighted in your hands. The seats hug you in all the right places without feeling restrictive. Everything you touch, from the climate controls to the turn signal stalk, operates with a precision that makes other cars feel like they were assembled by committee during a coffee break. The ride quality is sublime. Mercedes spent decades perfecting suspension dynamics, and even on the entry-level C-Class, you feel every bit of that expertise. It glides over rough pavement like it's personal business, but when you push it through a corner, there's real composure and confidence. The chassis feels like it was built by people who genuinely care about how a car drives, not just how it looks in a showroom. And let's talk about that badge for a second. Because whether we want to admit it or not, perception matters. Pull up in a C180 and nobody's checking the badge to see if you got the base engine. They see a Mercedes and suddenly you're treated differently. Valets smile wider, parking attendants are more helpful. Your in-laws finally think you've got your life together. It's shallow, sure, but it's also hilariously effective. You're getting luxury credibility at economy car prices. And that's basically financial judo. Now let's be real about ownership costs. Yes, parts are more expensive than a Toyota. Yes, you should absolutely find a good independent Mercedes specialist instead of going to the dealer, unless you enjoy setting money on fire for entertainment. But the C180 is far more reasonable than its reputation suggests. Regular maintenance intervals are actually longer than many competitors. The engine is proven and reliable when properly cared for. The key is finding one with complete service records and making sure the previous owner didn't skip maintenance thinking they could save money. If you're shopping for a C180, focus on examples from 2011 onwards if you can. That's when they really nailed the balance of modern features and manageable complexity. Look for cars that have been dealer-maintained or meticulously documented by their owners. Check for any signs of neglect, because a neglected Mercedes will punish your bank account. But find a good one that's been loved, and you'll have a car that feels special every single time you drive it. The depreciation on these is genuinely staggering because people are terrified of the maintenance costs and assume every German car is a ticking time bomb. Their fear is your opportunity. For the price of a thoroughly average economy car, you can have genuine luxury, impeccable build quality, and a driving experience that reminds you why Mercedes-Benz has been the benchmark for decades. It's not perfect, and it's not for everyone. But if you've ever dreamed of owning a three-pointed star without selling a kidney, this is your moment.
So there you have it. 4 absolutely incredible cars that crashed in price and are now sitting there as hidden opportunities for anyone smart enough to look past the badge snobbery and fear-mongering. The Kia Cadenza with its underrated luxury, the Volkswagen Passat with its German engineering for American sensibility, the bulletproof 2012 Camry that refuses to die, and the Mercedes C180 that lets you taste genuine luxury without the insane price tag. Now I want to hear from you. Which one of these would you actually buy? Are you team reliability and going with the Camry? Are you brave enough to rock that Mercedes badge? Or maybe you're seeing value in one of the other two? Drop your pick in the comments right now and tell me why. I read every single one, and I love seeing what you all think. If this video helped you discover a car you never considered before, smash that like button so more people can find these hidden gems. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we're constantly finding incredible deals and automotive secrets that could save you thousands of dollars. And hey, if you know someone who's shopping for a used car right now and throwing money at overpriced options, do them a favor and share this video. You might just save them from making an expensive mistake. Thanks for watching, and remember, the best car deals are the ones everyone else is too scared to take. I'll see you in the next one.